welcome back. This is part 3 of the series. This is probably the 100th attempt I've made at getting through this, and I keep flubbing it up, so bear with me. In the first 2 installments, we learned how to use iRacing's built-in tools to create a scheme. We learned how to download their templates. We learned how to turn that template into a Photoshop template, and then we learned how to create these layer groups to keep things organized as we work through it. When we were going through here the first time, we talked about this car patterns layer, and we said we'll come back to that later. Now's the time to look at those. These are what iRacing has provided to make it way faster to get your paint job started, and it saves you from having to create and design your own graphics and those kind of things. You can simply use these, change the colors, and off you go. Freebie paint job, right? Well, you might not have been using them the right way, and I'm going to show you the right way to do that. Before we do that, we need to get things set up a little bit. Going to turn everything off that's not this layer. So let's turn off the graphics, numbers, logos, the default parts. Let's turn off this mask layer. Obviously the paintable area's got to stay on because that's the parent folder for all these other layers below. So, as I'm sure you all know, you can come in here, turn these layers on and off to choose the one you want. I like this one to work with because it's pretty simple and straightforward, and it's easy to kind of show what we're working with here. So normally, I'm betting most of you would come in here, grab the magic wand tool, select one of the colors, fill that with a specific color, select the next color, fill it with its own color as well, and then grab the third color and do the same thing. There we go, we're done. Let's put the numbers on, put the graphics on, and send it out the door, right? Well, not so fast. We come in closer and look, you're gonna see these edges look terrible, don't they? All the colors are mixed, they're jaggedy, it's not clean, it's not sharp at all. This happens because the magic wand tool uses this layer that's red, green, and blue pixels combined and does its best to separate those, but where those colors overlap, you can't get a clean edge. You can't get a sharp, consistent selection. So the way to get around this is to use channels. So let's back all this out and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so with this layer selected, if we come up and we click the channels tab, you're going to see RGB. This is the combined red, green, and blue layer. And then you've got an isolated red layer, an isolated green layer, an isolated blue layer. So with these individual channels, there is no overlapping of the red pixels, green pixels, or blue pixels. They're individual, fully isolated layers. So if we want to select all the blue pixels, we can simply highlight that layer and then come down and click this little button right here. And that's going to select everything on that layer. The reason this works better than using the magic wand tool on the combined layer is there is no overlap. So your edges are going to be crisp and clean. So we've got this selected. Let's go back to our layers and let's make a layer that contains only those blue pixels. To do that, we'll select our base layer because we want to be at the very bottom of the paint scheme itself. We're going to hit this button here to create a new layer. That's going to make that layer right on top. Now, if we go up here and we turn that car patterns off so that we're just looking at our base layer, and then here's our new layer. You can see over here we've got all those blue pixels selected. I could simply fill that in and we're done with that layer, right? Zoom in, nice clean edges. You can see where the Goodyear thing's going to be. There's no weird colors mixing the gray and the pink and all that. It's isolated and it's clean. And we could move on to the next color, fill it in, and off we go. Problem with this is if we ever wanted to change that color, we've either got to start all the way over, choosing that channel again, selecting those pixels and filling them with a different color, or we could use the magic wand tool and we reintroduce that problem of having the weird jagged edges again. The quicker way to do this and the more non-destructive and easily changeable way to do this is by using what's called a layer mask. So let's back up. Get this back to where we just have the selected pixels but nothing's filled in. Now instead of filling this with the color, we can come down to the bottom here and choose this apply layer mask button. And what that's going to do is it's going to turn your selection into a layer mask. This new little thumbnail is simply a black and white image that looks just like it did in the channels. Everything that's black will not appear. Everything that's white will let the artwork underneath be visible. So instead of filling in just those pixels, with this method, when I fill this in, I'm filling the entire layer with that color. But it's only allowing those pixels that are white in this layer mask to show through. So that gives me the option to simply, if I say I don't like the pink anymore, I want to go to blue, I just fill the entire layer with that blue, and now that layer is blue instead of pink. That also gives us the ability to, let's say we wanted to be really crazy and add some pink in here, I can simply paint this pink wherever I want, and it's only going to show up in those areas where those pixels are white. So I could really get crazy and make some intricate designs here. Let's fill the whole thing with that pink color. Now, let's add the next color that we had. Let's turn our car patterns back on. Select that layer again, go to channels. We're going to choose the green pixels. Do the same process. Click that selection button. Come back to the layers. On top of this layer we just created, we're going to create a new layer again. Then we're going to hit the apply layer mask button again. Now let's turn the car patterns off. There's going to be a lot of switching back and forth, turning layers on and off. You'll get used to it over time, I'm sure. Let's fill this with another color. Now you can see we've got our pink and our blue and our gray. If we zoom in, we've got nice clean edges. None of the weird colors on the edges, no weird jagged edges. Everything is nice and clean and precise because we've selected the isolated red, green, and blue pixels. And if we decide we want to change colors, it's simply a matter of selecting the layer we want and filling it with a different color. Make this white. Our base layer. Grab this one. Make it nice bold red. And then we can grab our blue layer. We'll make it black. Quick, simple, painless. If we get halfway through the design and we decide we want a whole different color scheme, easy enough. We just come through, make these changes, and we've got a new paint scheme. Now, the other reason that we want to use the channels method rather than the magic wand method is if we have gradients in the paint. Let's clear these layers out. Simply delete them, and let's choose a pattern that has some actual gradients in it. Okay, so now we've got another pattern here that's got a nice flame gradient here. So we're going to do the same process we did before. We're going to come to channels. We're going to select the blue channel. We're going to select those pixels. We turn those back on, go back to our layers, back down to our base, create a new layer right above it, and click apply layer mask. Now we've got a nice flame layer mask there. Now let's go grab the other color before we start filling these in. Grab the green, make the selection. Those, back down and make a new layer on top of the one we just created, and apply the layer mask. Now, when we turn this off, also I don't use the make a layer for the red because you always use red as the base color, and we've got that base layer down there. You can if you want, but I usually don't. Let's turn these off, and let's fill in our layers with our colors. You can see nice, perfect selection here. We don't have weird jagged edges. Grab our another color, get red, fill that layer in. We've got a nice clean black to red gradient. Looks good, easy to change the colors, nice and sharp. We can turn our other layers back on. You can kind of get a feel for what the truck's going to look like as we put the graphics on. Turn those back off and kill these layers. I'll show you what the magic wand tool does when you try to select these colors. Zoom in here, grab our magic wand, click this. Whoa, let's be smart about it here. Get our layer selected. Now select the magic wand tool, and you can see it's only selected bits and pieces of the blue because it's trying to use the combined pixels again. It doesn't know what to do when it gets to where the blue and the green overlap. So if I were to fill this in with a nice bright yellow, you're just going to get these weird stripes and you're never going to have that gradient. So using the magic wand tool really limits which of these pre-made designs you can actually use. So the channel method is the way to go. use it, get used to it, get the sequence of steps down, and you'll be making great paint jobs in no time. So let's get this off of our screen. Nobody wants to look at this. Let's bring our nice paint job back. Turn this off. Turn these guys back on. And there you have it. That's the correct method to using the built-in schemes that iRacing has included. Hopefully this made sense. If you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me on the Discord. It's just a matter of repetition. Do it over and over and over again. You get the steps down, and it'll become second nature. So thanks for watching this one. See you in the next one. Bye.